What is up? Welcome back to the James Kennedy Podcast, episode 46, baby. Hope you enjoyed last week's chat with the awesome Rao Reynolds from the awesome Enter Shikari, who are currently tearing it up around the world as we speak. If you haven't listened to it yet, go and check it out. That is one cool dude dropping some knowledge. And since that one came out, I've already lined up another ton of awesome guests who are going to be coming your way really soon. So stay tuned. Also, since we last spoke, I attended a performance of a song that I co-wrote with the uber-talented and lovely Miss Kat Southall called Sing for Life, which was performed by the Ten of Us Cancer Choir at the St. David's Theatre in Cardiff. It was a 400-piece choir performing a song that we wrote a good few years back now, which is be very close to both of our hearts. It was we wrote it specifically for the cancer charity in Cardiff called 10 of Us. And at the time, they were trialing a new program where they were trying to see if singing, specifically singing in choirs, brought about any physiological benefits to people suffering with cancer or the after effects of treatment and that sort of thing. And it was actually, there was a documentary on Channel 4 about this, which followed the choir's journey from having never sung before to getting a standing ovation at the Royal Albert Hall in London. It was a hell of a journey. Very emotional. Like I said, it was a few years back for us now, and we wrote a song called Sing for Life, which was kind of came after the documentary on Channel 4, which was called Sing for Your Life. And it's become kind of like their anthem as such, you know? And it's a song that's personally very close to both of our hearts. Obviously, I lost my father to that awful disease as well last year. And just the significance of what the lyrics mean and the fact that the people singing it are all affected by cancer. So seeing a 400-strong choir of people from the community, not professional singers, who are all going through something, singing that song loud and proud in a packed-out St. David's Theatre in Cardiff was really something. And it was a fundraiser for the charity's 80th birthday. And it was a bill packed full of Welsh talent, including Only Men Allowed were there, and of course the incredible Amy Watch, who performed a set of absolute bangers, including Thinking Out Loud and the song from Keeping Faith. I mean, her back catalogue at this point is absolutely insane. There's not an A-list music star on the planet that she hasn't written for at this point. And it's mental because I saw Amy, I used to know Amy. Obviously, it's been a long time since, we've spoken in that capacity. But, I used to go to her shows when she was playing like solo acoustic gigs in like the Toucan Club in Cardiff, 20 years ago, to like, a handful of people. And now look at her, man. You know what I mean? She's writing songs for Ed Sheeran and literally everybody else. It's absolutely incredible. So to see her in the theatre playing some of those songs really kind of like hit home just how far she's come and how possible the dream is as well. I'm seeing someone there that I used to know who's now living a completely different life. It was really, it was a lovely night, man, all around. And to hear our song as well, just sung back in, perfect harmony with 400 voices. It was a very emotional, touching night. So that's what I got up to last week, amongst other things. Still plugging on with the book, making good headway with that. I'd say I'm about halfway through now. And the more time I spend writing this thing, the more into it I get, and the more I kind of just want to rush it out so you guys can read it. But unfortunately, publishing takes a long time. So I don't know when it's going to be, but it's certainly not going to be this year before you get your mitts on the thing. But things are gearing up with the band as we speak. There will be some new material hopefully soon, as well as some other cool things we've been working on for a while now behind the scenes. And of course, there will be some shows coming really soon. So if you are on my mailing list, you will get the first announcements of where we're going to be playing. If you're not on the mailing list, what are you doing? Get on there right now. The address for that is jameskennedystuff.com/tribe. jameskennedystuff.com/tribe. Get in there, whack your email address in, and put the city and the country that you live in as well, because then when we're planning our tour routing, we can see who's where and we can come and play for you. So make sure you put the details in. Do subscribe. Don't worry, I don't spam. I send about one mail out like every month or something like that when there's some good shit to talk about, so don't worry about getting spam. But please do head to jameskennedystuff.com/tribe, enter yourself into our mailing list, and then hopefully we can come and make some noise and have some good times with you guys super soon. Now that is the promo out of the way. I think we should get down to business and bring on the real talent of today's episode. Man, have I got a good one for you guys today. Today's guest by no means needs to come on my little podcast. They are already crushing it on pretty much every level, from best-selling books to podcasts to TED Talks and TV appearances and sold-out speaking engagements around the world. They don't need to come and talk to me, but they very, very kindly offered to come and give their time freely and to give awesome nuggets of knowledge and insight that is going to help all of you lucky listeners. So do not say I'm not good to you. And do not tell me that you haven't yet subscribed to the podcast. Whatever platform you're listening to this on, press pause right now and go and hit follow, subscribe, whatever you got to do. Give me a star rating. You know, the usual jazz that I nag you about every week. Go and do it. Right now, I just want to get down to business and bring on today's guest because they have got so much knowledge that I want to tap into, and I have so many questions I want to ask them, and it's so little time to do so. So let's get on with it and bring on the star of the show. Mark Schaefer is one of the world's leading marketing experts, as well as an author, public speaker, blogger, podcaster, and educator. His clients include companies like Adidas, Dell, Pfizer, and Microsoft, and his best-selling books include Marketing Rebellion, Known, and Belonging to the Brand. He has spoken in 35 countries, his books have been translated into 14 languages, and his podcast has been downloaded more than 1.5 million times. So I think it's safe to say that we're in pretty good hands today, guys. Mark, thank you so much for doing this, my man. How you doing?
Hey, I am doing great. It's just awesome to connect with you.
Oh, likewise, man, 100%. I mean, I've been looking forward to this conversation ever since we locked it in. I mean, there are so many things I want to ask you, but I think we should just jump in head first and start with the biggie.
The biggie. Oh my gosh, what could it be? I'm tingling.
What is the meaning of life, Mark? What is the meaning of life? Yeah. Tell us. No, the biggie for me is this, right? I have lots of music industry guests on here, and we all talk about the merits of the new model versus the old. Myself in particular, I'm a big evangelist for the new model, that I can record my own music and put it out this next day if I want to. There are no gatekeepers or curators telling me what I can and can't do. It's empowering, it's democratization, it's leveled the playing field, is awesome. The problem comes when you want to put it out there and you're confronted with the realization that everybody else on planet Earth is also doing that. And this is a question that nobody in the music industry in particular has been able to answer for me yet concisely, is what the hell do you do to get heard above the noise of everybody else also doing their thing?
That is the big question. And it's funny. That's basically what I have devoted my career to for the last 12 years, or maybe even longer. And it kind of started around 2011, where I made this observation that, and you and I, before you pushed record, we started talking about the shift, right? Yep. The shift in the world, the shift in the industry, the shift with media. For me, it was really happening around 2010, 2011. And I saw that the power in the world was moving from these big consolidated media companies and advertising agencies to the people. Once you can start creating content, and remember, in the early days of the internet, being a musician or an artist, it really wasn't that feasible because we didn't have the bandwidth. We couldn't download anything, right? You couldn't upload, you couldn't download. But then things started moving along. And that's when the power started to shift. So in 2012, I wrote the first book on influence marketing called Return on Influence. Nobody was even talking about it. Nobody was even using that word. But this was the significant change where people, creators, artists, musicians, they could start creating their own brand on the web. They could create their own influence, their own power, their own audience without a gatekeeper.
Yeah.
This was a historic moment. So that was sort of the beginning of this trajectory. Okay, I saw the power shifting. I wrote this big book. And then ever since then, I've been trying to figure out, okay, what do we do about it? Because it's true, it had happened. And now everybody's creating content and music and art. And now, if you thought it was noisy before, you ain't seen nothing yet, because now we've got Chat GPT.
Yes.
And we've got robots creating our content. And they never get tired and they never get hungry and they, don't go on strike. So they're going to be creating infinite amounts of content. In some ways, it's great because it unleashes a new level of creativity. I mean, let's say you're a musician, but you're not a good writer. And what ChatGPT does is it does for writing what the calculator did for math.
Right.
If you hated math, the calculator made you adequate.
Yeah.
You could do your taxes, even if you never even understood what you were doing. And ChatGPT can do that now for writing. We've got programs out there like Midjourney. You can do that sort of thing for art. I'm now creating artificial intelligence generated art for all of my content, all of my blogs.
Oh wow!
And it's beautiful and compelling, and it's fun to do. It's just fun to create. And so the positive, the beautiful thing about this, James, is that it unleashes a whole new level of creativity. If you were afraid of writing, now you can be a writer.
Yeah.
If you never were that artistic, now you can create beautiful images. You can do art that goes along with your music at the push of a button. So that's the good part about it, the exciting part about it. And but there are also a lot of challenges. But that you are asking the right question is what do we do? And I think the short answer, and maybe we can explore this a little bit more, is so I wrote a book in 2019 called Marketing Rebellion.
Yeah.
And the subtitle was The Most Human Company Wins. So it's most human, fill in the blank, most human university, most human symphony, most human nonprofit, because that is the key to how you stand out in this world, is to recognize that people want to experience the authentic human connection. You got to peel back the curtain and show the world, this is what it's like to be me. This is the good. This is just like you did in your book, right? You peeled back the curtain and said, okay, this is what it's like to be me. This is what I'm learning. This is how I'm growing. These are the mistakes I made. And that vulnerability is missing in most of the world and all of the marketing. So if they get that from you, you earn this connection that can turn into community.
Great point. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There is a kind of like an advertising burnout, isn't there? Fatigue. We've been you get content saturation from every angle. Everybody's on the make. Everybody's trying to sell you something. To someone that just have a direct, humane conversation with you is a breath of fresh air, because everybody's got something to sell. And it is, as you said, it's a very, very noisy world out there right now. And how anyone makes any sense of it, I don't know. I think my community struggles a lot with this because we may be talented in creative areas, but not necessarily talented in business or marketing areas. So we do struggle with that sort of thing. But we are, ironically, perfectly placed because communication and authenticity and artistic expression is what we do. So you would think we would be best at it. I think the confusion within my community, definitely from my own experience and that of my peers, is we're not really entirely sure what the process of marketing is in a basic sense. What are the sort of key fundamental principles of marketing? What am I doing? What am I hoping to achieve? How do I start? And how do I get there? And how do I keep it going?
Yeah. This is a good intellectual challenge for me to describe the marketing process in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah, sorry, man. No pressure.
Because I don't think I've ever done this before, James. So here we go.
Oh, that's cool.
All right. Number one, what is marketing? Marketing is the process of creating a customer. Underneath that, there's a lot of things you can do. You kind of have to understand what your customers like and where they are and what's going on in their lives and how much money they have. But essentially, it's creating a customer. For a musician, it's creating a fan that's going to buy your work. Okay, now, there are two different kinds of marketing. And this is where a lot of people get confused. One is direct marketing. So this would be if you go into a store and you see a coupon for Coca-Cola. So Coca-Cola, they need to move more product. They can have a coupon. And then they'll sell more stuff, and it's pretty easy to measure. You do ads, you do coupons, you sell more stuff. It's pretty easy to measure. That's called direct marketing. That's not so relevant to artists and musicians.
Right.
I mean, I'm imagining you've probably never had a sale. You probably never said, it's, it's Boxing Day. We're going crazy. 2-for-1 special. I mean, that's not how it works, right? Now, here's what does work. This is the second kind of marketing, and that's called brand marketing. So let's go back to the Coca-Cola example. I gave a speech in Poland before the pandemic, and it was a huge, thousands of people in this audience. It was an amazing event. And I said, when you think of Coca-Cola, what do you think of? It was sort of a rhetorical question, but somebody from the audience yells out, polar bears. So even in Poland, you think of Coca-Cola, that's polar bears. Now, why?
Yeah.
Why does Coca-Cola do that? Because they don't want you to think about, high caloric sugar water that makes you sick, right? They want to create an expectation, a feeling.
Yes.
When you interact with this product, it's supposed to make you warm and friendly and happy, and you share it with family, special occasions, and you drink it on the beach. That's Coca-Cola. It's a feeling that you expect. Now we're getting somewhere. So the key to marketing for a musician or an artist is to create a feeling that you expect. And you deliver on that feeling every time. And that feeling is going to connect to your audience. That's why some people might like Taylor Swift, and some people might like Radiohead, and some people might like Ozzy Osbourne. They're completely different feelings, completely different expectations,
yeah.
But it connects to you in some authentic and organic way. Okay, now, all right, so here we are. Our job as a musician is to create a meaning, a feeling that connects us to our audience. That makes us different. That creates loyalty, because as long as you deliver on that, and that's why a musician might struggle. So let's say you got a rock and roll artist, and all of a sudden they create a country album. Now you're going to lose a lot of people because the expectation has been breached. Okay, so that's really what marketing is about. Now, the good thing about the world today is that every person and every artist has an opportunity to reach directly to their fans through all kinds of different kinds of social media, outlets. And so we don't have to worry about gatekeepers. We don't have to pay advertising agencies. We just have to really show up in a human way that reflects our brand, that's consistent with our brand. And typically, as you sort of mentioned, that, an artist and their persona, it's generally going to be consistent with who they are anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're like Kiss, then all bets are off. But, for most, singer-songwriters, you're going to be, so the idea is, how can you take people along on your journey and let them in on what you're doing? Now we're going to connect the last dot. And this is where I have a new book out. So this is like the evolution of my thinking. And my new book is about community. So most artists, naturally, they're doing something on social media. Social media is cool because it gives you the opportunity to connect to people who have never heard of you before. So you can reach this vast new audience. You've got the potential to, possibly reach the whole world. But it's a weak relational link. I have 180,000 followers on Twitter. If I put out on Twitter, hey, everybody, I've got a new book, or I got a new album out, how many people will buy it? Almost none. Because it's like throwing a message in a bottle out into the ocean. Right? It's ephemeral. The people are there. The connection is possible. But I mean, is it really going to connect with people?
Right.
So the strategy is to take them to the next step, which is an audience. So do you have something they can subscribe to? A blog, a podcast, a video series, an Instagram account. Now it's not throwing a bottle in the ocean. It's reliable reach. They're saying, I love you. I want to hear from you. I want to know everything about you. And now you've got an audience. And if you say, I've got a new album out, they're going to buy a lot of albums.
Right.
So the strategy is, create this, brand, connect on social media, but bring the social media, connections into an audience. Encourage them to subscribe. Now, unfortunately, this is where most businesses and most artists stop. I've got my thing, I've got my audience, that's cool. The ultimate emotional connection, that's what we want. We want the strongest possible emotional connection. That is a community. Okay? So let's use KISS as an example. KISS, they've got the brand, they're on social media, they've got an audience, but they've also got the KISS army, the KISS freaking army. Now, here's the difference. In an audience, it's a cult of personality. If you go away, the audience goes away. But in a community, people know each other. There's communion. There's a purpose bigger than the music. It's like, look at my KISS t-shirt. Look at my KISS makeup.
Yeah, right.
You look at my recording from this show.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they're on their final tour, right? And so it's like a neighborhood. And here's the interesting thing that I found in my research, James. So my new book is called Belonging to the Brand, the last great marketing strategy. Because, we're blocking ads. We're in a streaming economy. We don't want ads. We don't see ads. We don't believe ads. But we need community. We don't just want community. We need community. To be fully human beings, we have got to be in community. This is the only kind of marketing that people actually want. So the key, the ultimate, is to bring people into a community, and then focus on getting people once they know each other and they have a place where their friends are, they're never going to leave you, because that means they got to leave their friends.
Right. Yeah.
They literally belong to the brand.
Yeah.
A community creates a layer of emotional switching costs. They can't leave you. They're going to always be loyal to you because that's where their peeps are. That's where their friends are. And it's the most powerful kind of marketing there is. So there you go. That is artistic marketing strategy in 5 minutes.
That was amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. If there was an audience here now, there'd be a standing ovation.
I'll just imagine it in my mind.
Yes, please do, because when this episode goes out, there will be a fragmented audience all around the world who will be doing exactly that. Like, finally, it makes sense now. Someone has just condensed it all down succinctly into 5 minutes and cleared up all of the noise on this issue. So thank you so much for doing that. That was brilliant. And a lot of what you said resonated with me personally, because I've fallen foul to a lot of those pitfalls myself, in the sense that when I first discovered the power of social media, I really threw myself into it head first, and I built up organically a large audience of over several 100,000 followers across my various pages online, which was awesome, right? But only a very small proportion of that following became an actual engaged audience. And listening to what you just said, I think it's because I focused exclusively on attracting as large an audience as I could, and not on building an actual intimate human community. So what's the missing link there? How does one go from utilizing the amazing powers of social media to attract and build their tribe, but also to then develop that into the sort of self-sustaining community that you just described?
Well, there are two things I think in terms of the artist. I mean, normally if I was talking about a company, I would start with the culture of the company. I mean, is it a company that really cares about their customers, or do they just want to hit their quarterly sales number? I assume if you're an artist or a band, that doesn't really matter because you are the culture. Now, here's the big thing that a lot of people miss is, well, let's go back to this idea of brand and what you stand for. Here's an example that's easy to understand. Patagonia. So when you hear this brand, Patagonia, you know they stand for environmental sustainability, responsible recreation. I mean, everything they do and everything they say. I mean, I think I just read last year, the founder of the company is selling the company and taking all the profits and giving it to environmental causes.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's what they're about. I've got a friend who only buys Patagonia, which, by the way, is not the cheapest clothing. But he says, I only buy Patagonia because my purpose intersects with their purpose. So he literally belongs to the brand. So you get back to this idea of like, what do you stand for? What do you stand for? What kind of sense of fun, or what sense of social commitment, or what's going on with you? And then you move people into a community because they want to be part of whatever you're part of.
Right.
It might just be fun. It might just be, I want to be entertained in a certain way. That's perfectly fine. Other ways, it might be people want to grow. Maybe they want to change the world in the same way you do. And the artist might think, well, look, I can change the world in a bigger way if I've got my fans with me.
Yeah.
I can have more fun if I have my fans with me. I can create better art if I have my fans with me. I can get on a bigger stage if I can have my fans with me. So what can you do bigger and better and have a bigger impact if people are coming alongside you because they believe in the same thing you do? So that's the next thing. And then they need a place to gather. It could be, I mean, a lot of people today are going on to Discord.
Right.
My community is on Discord. I have a community dedicated to learning about the future of marketing. There are people there from all over the world challenging each other with new ideas. Now, how does that grow? My purpose is, I'm writing books and blogging and giving speeches about the future of marketing. So that's my purpose, and that's their purpose, and we're growing each other, and we're learning. And every blog post I write now, every speech I give, somewhere in that is an idea that came out of this community. We're pushing each other and learning. And so maybe you say, hey, everybody, we're going to get on Discord, and then you set up different chat rooms of things that are going on, and maybe every once in a while you come on and give a little, play a little song or say hello, use the audio channel, use the video channel on Discord, have a little event, prime the pump, and then watch for leaders who emerge, people who want to start a discussion.
Yeah.
Maybe they want to start a newsletter about you. Maybe they want to help you with promotions. Maybe maybe you set up people in different cities if you're on tour, on the ground kind of people.
Yeah.
And you find those volunteers who build the community for you. And so now, I mean, I've got people in my community. We're doing experiments in the metaverse. I'm not doing it. They're
right.
organizing the whole thing. They decided some people wanted to start a podcast. We're starting a podcast. We're writing a book. We're writing a book together. It's going to come out in June. We're doing experiments with NFTs. And the last thing I'll say is we're talking here about Discord and an online community. But every community has, the best communities have an offline component as well. So if you're an artist, you have a special section where your community sits, or you have a meet and greet, or you have a party before the show for your community. So, because once they see each other face to face, remember that the love and the friendships in a community, that spills over to the artist. That's as important as the love for you. If they love each other, then you don't need any more marketing. Your marketing is over. It's marketing without marketing, because you build this group of people who, they're going to do the marketing for you. They're going to talk about all the things that they're learning about in this community and spread the word.
That is a great point amongst, many, many amazing points that you've dropped so far, which is something I hadn't previously considered in my use of social media as my means of audience generation. Because if I understand what you're saying correctly, you're saying that the role of social media has now changed. It might be a great place to meet new people and meet your audience, but it is no longer the end destination. It's no longer enough. You now need to have that other home, that other hub where your guys, your tribe exclusively mingle, which isn't just an open town square, as Elon Musk calls it. It's your home, it's your club, it's your private membership area where your tribe can assemble and become that thriving and collaborative tribe that you described.
Exactly. 100%. That's the goal. Is, it's, I don't have a good analogy at the top of my head, but it's almost like, you're planting the seeds in social media that the harvest comes in your audience and then your community. So you want to connect with people in social media, but somehow encourage them to opt into whatever they can subscribe to, and then eventually become part of a community on Discord or Reddit or wherever you want to have your community.
Yeah, and it's a lot more platform options now as well, isn't there? Outside of the major ones, like Telegram. You've mentioned Discord already. Mastodon is one that I want to try and check out.
Well, you got to be careful, because I don't, like Mastodon is similar to Twitter. It's still an audience, right?
Okay.
So you've got to have a home base like Slack or Circle or a Facebook group where people can go every day, any time of day or night, and they can come in there and meet friends who share their love, share their passion of what's going on. You've got to have a home base, and if it's Facebook or Twitter or something like that, it's probably not even an audience. A community is, what defines a community is when they know each other. If you've got an audience, is great, by the way. I mean, I've got a huge audience, and they buy my books and they hire me to give speeches and hire me to do marketing consulting. That's great. But the ultimate connection is community. And let me give you a quick example of how this works. And so I teach a class on personal branding. So it's reasonable, but it's $1,500. It's still, quite a bit of money. And so every time I have one of these classes, I have to promote it. I have to put it on social media. I have to put it on LinkedIn, and I try to limit the class to 10 because I give people a lot of individual attention. And then last class I only got 8. I couldn't fill the class, and I was doing all this work to try to fill the class, and I only got 8. In my community, someone said, Mark, I saw that you teach this class. It would be great if you could teach this class just for our community, so that these are people that know each other. We could have friends in this class, and then we could help each other. And then we'd be in this community talking the same language. I said, well, okay, here's a sign-up list. I'll let 10 people in, and 10 people signed up in 2 hours.
Wow.
No promotion, no social media, no work. Because it's the ultimate marketing. It's marketing with no marketing.
Right.
If my community gets big enough and strong enough, I'll never have to worry about content marketing, advertising, or SEO ever again. There's a chapter in my book that it would be very, very relevant to artists. I've written 10 books. In the new book, Belonging to the Brand, chapter 4, I did something I've never done before. I devoted the entire chapter to one person. This is a woman. She was an entrepreneur, had a great business. This is 2015. She got pregnant. Some people are saying, well, you got to give up the business now. You got to be a mom. Some were saying, no, you got this great business. You got to fight for the business. She decided, I want to do both, but I don't really feel supported. I want to do both. She started talking about these ideas in a Facebook group. She had 5 or 6 people that said, yes, we need a group that will support moms who want to be entrepreneurs. Long story short, she now has a Facebook group with 80,000 women in it.
Wow.
She's making $1 million a year, no sales, no marketing, no advertising, zip. No SEO, no content marketing, nothing. She has no salespeople, no marketing budget at all. Because she has 80,000 people in this community, she said, my only job is to make them feel validated and safe.
Wow.
This is a safe place to talk about these issues. So she creates courses, videos, coaching, events, a paid membership VIP level.
Right.
She's like doubling her business every year with no sales budget, no marketing budget. Any artist could use that model. It's like I had this little victory, selling 10 slots in my class in just a couple minutes, and it's just like, oh, that's how this works.
Yeah.
What if I had 80,000 people in my group? I could sell anything. I could fill everything. My marketing would be over. That's the beauty of community. It's the ultimate marketing. It's the ultimate emotional connection with no marketing.
That is incredible. What a story. And that makes total sense as well, because if you're a part of that community and you want to do a crowdfunder for an album or a project or something like that, you go to your guys. You know what I mean?
It's there. It's all there.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Jesus, what a story. And for a band starting out then, let's say they only have a bunch of followers, they haven't really built much yet, but they're a kick-ass band, they're hardworking, they've got a great brand, for want of a better word. They've got a great new album coming out, but they're trying to harness the power of social media towards that end goal example that you just used there.
Yeah.
But they're not yet at the stage where everything they do is super interesting. And this is a common complaint that I have from so many of my friends, is we get social media despondency. Like we run out of steam because the relentless need to find things that are interesting and engaging and fun or insightful or cool or exciting. It's not always possible because so much of what we do in reality isn't any of those things. There's a lot of admin and emails, and many people have got day jobs and, shit going on outside of the band. And people run out of ideas, they run out of steam. It's very difficult to maintain that kind of momentum. Like in a corporation, they'll have, or in a major label band, they'll have a digital department and a team of people constantly making content. Yeah. But how do we, as speaking specifically about my community as artists, how do we navigate that without getting a little bit of traction, a little bit of hype going, and then all of a sudden it runs out of steam because you just, or oftentimes, like to use my current example, oftentimes you're too busy doing the thing to be documenting the thing. Like I've just received my advance to write my second book. There's a deadline looming. I've got to crack on with the book. As much as I'd love to be, taking pictures and stuff like that for social media, I've got to actually write the damn book. And there's nothing interesting or cool or exciting about a picture of me hunched over a laptop writing a book. And there's only so many times I can post that picture because the process of writing a book is exactly that. You know what I mean? It's not interesting. So how do we harness the power of these platforms to the end destination that you have brilliantly described without having to fall foul to filling the world with more pointless crap or staged inauthentic crap because we've got nothing genuinely exciting happening right now, which will obviously have the opposite effect. How do we navigate that?
Yeah, I mean, again, well, first of all, I want to back up because you said something interesting that I want to build on. You talk about, well, maybe it's a small band and they've got a great band, but they don't have a lot of followers. Every community starts with 5 people.
Right.
I mean, it's amazing. It's basically you've got 5 friends or 5 fans or 5 customers, 5 people who just believe in you and love you and want to help you. And that's where it starts.
Right.
Arguably, the biggest community in the world is Twitch. Started with 5 people. The stories in the book. This guy named Justin, he started live streaming his life. He had a camera on his head and just live streamed his life. And everybody thought that was cool. And they wanted to do it. So he created this software where you could live stream, what's going on in your life. There were these gamers. And they're saying, we want to live stream people. We want to watch each other play games. And he said, that's not a thing. That's not what this is about. No, they said, it is a thing. It is a thing. He said, okay. And that's how Twitch got started. Just 5 or 6 passionate people who said, just give us a chance. So, I mean, even if you're small and starting out, don't be, concerned about it. I mean, you could be optimistic about it because here's the difference. Let's, for the 3rd time, let's go back to KISS. KISS didn't start the KISS Army. The Army started the Army.
Right.
All right. It was they got lucky, really. They got lucky in a way. They had critical mass of people that started this sort of movement. But what most bands miss out today, they can create their own movement. You can be mindful about it. We've got the technology today that's helping us. We talked about, Discord and Web3 and even like the metaverse and, artists are using NFTs in creative ways. There's a case study in the book where the whole community is built on NFTs, and the NFTs, give you, advantages, and they give you access to certain, opportunities to create new content, create new stories. So, there's just so many opportunities. If the band approached this like I'm a startup,
right?
I'm a startup. I need help. I need help with promotion. I might need help with financing. I might need even help on, creative input.
Yeah.
So in the startup world, most startups, their marketing begins with community. Saying, look, you're my fans, let's get going. And then you start with 5. And then the 5 turns to 10 because they're saying, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun. I met these cool people. And we're actually getting to have creative input into this, into this band. We get to pick the album cover. Or whatever, right? Can you believe this? Or, I did this piece of art and this might actually be the album cover. So more and more people get involved, and then you build the momentum. But you've, at least at first, you've got to be involved, you've got to be accessible, you've got to be open. This same community that I talked about that's built on the NFTs was started by an artist. And this artist comes in every day and people watch him draw. So you're sort of like, demeaning yourself in a way about writing the book. Why wouldn't you just pop on every day and say, well, here's what I've written today. This is where I'm going with the thing.
Right.
Or I've hit a block today. I thought I was going this way, and I just thought I was all wrong, and I wasn't being honest, and
right.
I'm writing the whole darn thing over, and or you said, I did my best work today. let me read this to you. Or here's a memory. I'm sharing my book. I've never told anyone this before. I'm going to tell you first. So, I mean, there's lots of things that you can do that take 5 minutes. That it's just peeling back the curtain to say, here's what's going on in my world today.
That's fascinating stuff. I mean, it's so interesting for me to hear you say things like that, because that would never even occur to me. That's the difference between someone that obviously has a natural talent for this mindset and someone who doesn't. For me, I would be like, why would anyone care that I'm writing a book? It's boring. It's a boring process. They'll enjoy the book. The book is the end game.
But James, think how easy this is. It doesn't take a lot of time. It doesn't take a lot of talent. It takes a mindset.
Right.
You said it exactly right. And a mindset is something that anybody can change. It's just a matter of awareness. It's a matter of what you need to do to make it work. That's a little bit different from the way you used to do things, but that's the way the world, it's like tuning yourself to the way the world is today. And if you can do that, you can do marketing.
That's a great point. And I know that my musician friends are going to be virtually high-fiving you now and finally having some clarity and inspiration on these, what are often, frustrating and confusing extracurricular things that we also have to do, as well as all of the other bloody things we now have to master in this, day and age. And I know a common conflict that I know happens amongst many of my friends, and I'm sure it's the same across all industries too, certainly for startups and, independents, is how to prioritize our time, because we do so much as it is already. And I know that a lot of my friends feel like, well, do I spend the morning, taking selfies and posting on social media, or do I practice my instrument and write the song and or the book, whatever it might be, and actually do the thing that ultimately is what I should be doing? And I know that some people, do say to designate a day to doing all of that week's social media stuff. And I know that other people just constantly do it on the fly. Do you have any recommendations about how to manage that most effectively to maintain consistency?
Well, it depends on, it depends on the situation. If, like, when I teach my personal branding class, what I do is I emphasize that people will create some kind of content, a blog or a podcast or a video or something once a week, and I have them commit to 18 months, because it takes 18 months to really see if it's not a hockey stick, it's not going to go straight up. It takes time, it takes patience. It grows slowly, but then it starts to build and it starts to work. I'll tell you, here's an example I use in my class, the Black Keys. So I got to, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I got to go backstage and meet the Black Keys. And this is when they were blowing up. I saw them in a place that held 2,000 people, and 18 months later, they were playing Madison Square Garden. They were blowing up. And I asked Patrick Carney, I said, what was it? What was the thing that just ignited you? He said, nothing. He said, we've been writing and touring for 6 years, but we just don't stop.
Right.
We just create. We want to do a little bit better. Week by week by week by week, a little bit better on our shows, a little bit better on our songs, and you don't give up. So for a personal brand, I recommend once a week. For a community, probably something once a day. And it could be as simple as, I saw something in the news today that blew my mind. What does this mean for artists? And let people chime in. Or I just listened to the most magnificent piece of music today. It reminded me of you. Or I just saw today is the 50th anniversary of the Dark Side of the Moon album. This was a special impact of me in my life. Tell me what you thought about it, in the community.
Yeah.
So, and then if you do that every day, you'll find after a few weeks, the community takes over. They'll start having their own conversations. They'll start creating their own culture. So, I think personal brand, once a week, creating a community, where people are gathering in some place like Discord, I'd start out doing something once a day.
And be consistent and keep the faith, I suppose, as well, because it can be challenged, when you're looking at those likes and you can see that no one's cared in that video that you're really proud of, no one's watched,
Yeah. Consistency is more important than genius.
Right.
You just keep showing up. If you want to become part of the fabric of someone's life, you got to show up. You got to keep showing up, and do it on a consistent basis. When I started blogging in 2009, I blogged 650 weeks in a row without stopping. And then I took a little break for COVID, got really sick.
Oh, shit.
And then, blogged another 180 weeks in a row. I've had a podcast we're in our 11th year, never missed an episode.
Wow.
Because you just show up, you show up, and they know it's Tuesday. What's Mark going to send me? And you show up, and soon you become a habit. You become part of their life. So community. What's James got for me today? Oh, look at this. Billy posted something today. That's interesting too. Oh, now there's 3 of us. And that's how it works.
That makes so much sense. Yeah, I must say, you're making me feel like a slacker, Mark, as well. 11 years without missing an episode. I think I took a week off after my 3rd episode or something. And I think we should mention as well, probably, we haven't mentioned this yet, there is a meritocratic element to this as well, in the fact that you have to actually be good. You have to actually be delivering something value and something that be contributing something good to the world. In the case of music, which this episode has been, mostly centered around, you have to be good. You know what I mean? That has to come first.
Oh, right. You got to deliver the goods. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, people are only going to talk about your restaurant if the food is good and the price is fair and the bathrooms are clean and it's a clean environment. You've got to deliver the goods.
Yeah.
In whatever you do, whatever business you are. And if you deliver the goods as a musician, then you've got a chance to build a community and win and blow up.
Love it. Well, as we come towards the end, I wanted to ask you about the future, because I'm personally seeing a stark change in the old dinosaur platforms, like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. I'm seeing like their engagement is thinning out quite drastically, and I know that many people are becoming disillusioned in those, gigantic platforms now. But do you think that they're still as relevant as they used to be, or do you think that they're soon to become like relics of the past and that something else is going to take over? And if so, is there anything that you've got your money on?
They're definitely aging out. And the reason they're aging out is because young people don't want to be there. Young people, they don't want to be exposed. They don't want to be ridiculed. They don't want to be part of this polarized world. So Gen Z, to some extent millennials, they're blockading themselves in digital campfires. They're going to places where they can't be seen and they can't be found. I think Discord is big. I think Discord is a place where a lot of young people are going. It started out as a place for gamers, and now it's become a place for artists, a place for tech industry people. It's kind of like the hot place right now, and Discord is growing and improving a lot. It's very, very flexible what you can do there. I think another place where young people are hanging out, and I don't really know the solution to this, is they're spending more and more time in video games, places like Fortnite. But brands are showing up there, right? You can buy things in Fortnite. You can go to concerts in Fortnite. But there were even so I think we're going to have to see what the next big channel is. Obviously, TikTok is big right now.
Yeah.
With Gen Z. It's not without controversy. It's not without some legal problems right now. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I predict TikTok will be okay because there's a lot of money there. I'll put my bet on the money.
Right.
I'll put my money where the money is. But here's the other thing I would look at, James, is that social media fragments along demographic lines and age groups. So really, the only demographic growing on Facebook is 55 and over. Sort of everybody kind of loves YouTube and Instagram. You've got 18 to 34 kind of on Snapchat, and then, kind of 20 to 12 on TikTok. But behind Gen Z is Gen Alpha. And they're going to look up at their big brothers and sisters and say, nah, we've got this thing. That's going to be the next innovation. And it's not there yet. I'm hearing rumblings. But keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open. Certainly if I was a musician appealing to young people today, TikTok is obvious. Discord, I think, is obvious. And then, it's kind of lots of other options beyond that.
Fascinating stuff. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the new platforms are looking around the corner and what the next big thing is going to be, But as we're speaking about the future, we need to, as we come towards the end of the episode, talk about what the future holds for Mr. Mark Schaefer. What have you got coming up? What's around the corner? I can see that you got the brand new book standing proud behind you there on the bookshelf, belonging to the brand. What else you got happening, and what do we need to let people know about?
I mean, I've always got lots of different things, but the one thing that may be interesting to you and your fans is I have a marketing retreat. And for the first time, I'm going to bring it to Europe. I'm going to have a marketing retreat at a castle outside of Dublin in September.
Wow.
And this is all going to be about the future of marketing. I'm limiting it to a small group of people. And it's literally going to be a retreat because it's going to be re-energizing. It's about being relevant in this marketing world. How do we stay relevant? How do we adjust to all these things in this marketing world? And it's going to be a lot of fun because we're going to be in this beautiful medieval castle. It's built in like 1053. We're going to have falconry. We're going to drink mead. Probably by the end of the event, I'll be in armor. Who knows? But my site is Businesses Grow. So if you don't remember how to spell my name, just go to businessesgrow.com. You can find. We mentioned .com. We mentioned my books, my blog, my podcast, and my events. You can all find it at businessesgrow.com.
Yeah, the site is amazing. I mean, I will link everything, all of your links into the description for the podcast, and I'll give it a plug after we close the chat as well, because the website, you've got so much free stuff on there as well. Great resources with the podcast and articles and blogs and links to your books, which I think I'm now going to have to go out and buy all of. So definitely go and check out businessesgrow.com, and people can follow you also at Mark Schaefer on Twitter and Instagram, which I'll link in as well. Definitely worth doing that because you share a lot of great stuff on your socials as well.
Yeah, I try to. Instagram, it's not business at all. It's basically rocks and plants, hiking and kayaking, and it's like a peering into my personal life a little bit.
Well, where can people find out about this awesome event in Dublin in September? Have you announced it yet? Is there a ticket link available?
Yeah, it's if you go to Businesses Grow and then businessesgrow.com, and at the nav bar at the top it says events.
Right.
And I've got one coming up in America in the spring. And then in September, I've got the first one ever in Ireland because I have so many friends in Europe. They've been begging me to do this in Ireland. And I will just say, this is the best thing I have done in my career.
Wow.
Period. It is magical. It is life-changing. And you'll meet people that will help you succeed for the rest of your life. So it's a magical event.
Wow, well, I'm going to go and grab myself one of those bad boys now, I think. A weekend in Ireland as well is always a fun thing to do. So hopefully we'll see you there. Mark, that sounds absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate you. You've really given so much knowledge and insight there to my community, which is a real gift. We thank you so much. And thanks for everything you're doing, and best wishes with everything coming up.
Thank you, James.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks so much for your time today, man. It's been great to meet you. See you soon.
All right. Great interview. Take care.
Mr. Mark Schaefer, ladies and gentlemen, put it together for him. What a nice guy. And what an absolute dude for coming on and answering all my stupid questions and giving us all of that amazing free insight into how to manage this wild new terrain and landscape that we all find ourselves in. No excuses now, guys. Like Mark said, this is a mindset shift, and he's given you all the tools and all the answers that you need there to get cracking and go and achieve your dreams, man. I know I framed a lot of the questions around the music industry, obviously, because that's the only one that I have any experience of, and it's the community that I spend most of my time within. So that's what I hear from people. But it applies to everything, man. Like whatever industry you're in, you can apply the wisdom that Mark has just dropped on you there to your success and your advantage. And I would recommend you go back and listen to the podcast again, take some notes, and put that awesome wisdom to your advantage. The lovely and brilliant Mr. Mark Schaefer can be found on his website at businessesgrow.com. He is also on Twitter at Mark W. Schaefer. Let me spell that. It is SCHAEFER. That's Mark W. Schaefer on Twitter. He's on Instagram at Mark W. Schaefer also, and on YouTube at MW Schaefer. Now, his website that I mentioned there, businessesgrow.com, has got tons and tons of incredible free content, including podcasts, articles, blogs, links, videos, all sorts of things. It's amazing that he gives all this stuff away for free. So honestly, go and do a deep dive at businessesgrow.com. You can also check out any of Mark's best-selling books, including Belonging to the Brand, Marketing Rebellion, Known, Social Media Explained, The Tao of Twitter, and many, many more. And the event that Mark mentioned there in Ireland is under the heading on his website, Events. It's called the Uprising Europe, which I love the title of that. And there are still just a handful of tickets available. So please, if you've got any sense at all, go and snap them up right away. So a massive thank you again, a round of applause to Mr. Mark Schaefer for blowing all of our minds and sharing so generously all of that amazing knowledge that's going to help all of us do our thing. Thank you so much for joining us and listening. And if you want to thank me for making these conversations happen, all you got to do is show me some love on that subscription button, baby. Go and hit subscribe, follow on whatever platform it is, or on all of them. Even if you listen to it on YouTube, go and follow me on Spotify and Apple and anywhere else just to help share the love. And if you want to be the first to know about upcoming tour dates with the band, new merch, secret live streams, and all that sort of jazz, then join the Secret Society mailing list at jameskennedystuff.com/tribe. That's it from me for this week. Stay tuned for another awesome episode coming up next week with another amazing guest. And in the meantime, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and I'll see you then. Have a good one. Adios.